Good evening. It's 7:41 p.m. South Florida time, and this is the third recording about learning how to scat sing. This is not going to be nearly as long as the last one, and it basically doesn't have too much in it, but what's in it is pretty important, I think, if you want to continue with this. And I have to tell a story about a couple of them, actually, that are similar. When I was a college teacher, one of the things I had to do nearly every semester was direct a combo. And it was great fun most of the time. And the students, for many of the years, were very enthusiastic, and we really enjoyed it. A couple times, something happened which kind of surprised me. The first time it surprised me, but then when I thought about it, maybe not. And then the second time it happened, I wasn't that surprised. Okay, so we're in a little practice room practicing our I don't know, whatever tune we're doing, and someone knocks on the door. People knock on the door and want to come in and listen. That's great. The more people that are interested, the better. So we opened the door, and this female student came in that we all knew. She was not in any of the jazz groups, and as far as I knew, or anyone maybe, she wasn't interested or hadn't shown an interest. But that day she came in and said, "Can I listen for a while?" And of course, our rehearsals are open. And we, as I say, we're happy to have people come and listen. And we don't do anything in the rehearsal that's too offensive, usually. But she listened for a while, and then when we were stopped a little bit, she said, I do have to ask you a question. And I said, okay, what? And she said, I would love to sing in a group like this, but I know I'm not going to be allowed to. And what do I do? And what she was asking was for us to be a little bit subversive, because her teacher, who was a colleague of mine, both full-time teachers, wanted to have control of what the singers did outside of the ensembles. And this sounds a little outlandish, but please realize this is not uncommon. My wife, who's a great singer, ran up against it several times at different universities. And it has to do with control. And I understand that. So for whatever reason, I said to her, well, all the rehearsals are open. Just come and give it a try sometime. I mean, they're not going to hurt anything. And of course, that was possibly a big mistake. But she did. And she came, and she learned how to sing a couple of the tunes that we did, and somehow wrangled permission to perform them with us in a concert. And the very first non-jazz major that did some jazz in a recital that I know of at the school. And I think probably gained something from it, a new experience. Okay, the second story is very similar, but at a much higher level. And I can't say the names of any of the people. You'll just have to trust what I say. We had a vocal teacher who was a renowned opera singer, real handsome guy, a great friend of mine. I still know him and see him sometimes. Of course, I'm retired. I'm sure he is too. But he, at a certain point, was teaching voice lessons for us at the school, the male singers. And most places prefer to have tenors and basses study with tenors and basses, and the same thing with sopranos and altos. And many schools can't afford to do that, and so a replacement for having 4 different teachers at least is to have 2, and then the singers would have to branch out and deal with voice ranges that were not theirs. In other words, our bass was a bass teacher at one time, had to teach the tenors too. And that's just the way it is, and people are happy to do it. The principles are quite similar. But anyway, I'm going around here. But my friend was the male vocal teacher. And once again, we're rehearsing, not the same semester or same year even, I don't think, but we're rehearsing a combo. And my friend, and I almost said his name. If I say his name, I'm going to have to delete this video and start over. But he stuck his head into the room while we were playing and just listened with a kind of a grin on his face. We have a name for that kind of grin, which I won't say. But he obviously was enjoying it. And this is a guy who sang in Italy and all over the world, really, as a bass baritone. And the kind of singer that could rattle the rafters, and did often. So anyway, he said to me, I never had a chance to do anything like this. My direction wasn't this way. The music I sing is not free. And I understand it, and that's the game. But this music is free, and I always wished I could do it. And I said, you're a faculty member here. There's nothing that says you can't come in and do this occasionally if you want. No, I would say that to any of them. I'd say it to the vocal teachers if they wanted to come in, and he was one, of course. But he wasn't. He was on my side of the fence as far as if what we were doing was possibly worthwhile. So he never did perform with us. But by the time that his time at the school was finished, and I have to say that most of these adjuncts teach at schools like our school as a stepping stone to something bigger. I don't know that he went on to something bigger, but he went on to something after a while, and I have my own theories about that, but that's not for here. But for that time he was there, he would pop in occasionally, and he actually learned how to scat sing. And it got back to his boss, and that might have had something to do with his ultimate departure. But the kids loved having him in there, especially the girls. This guy was drop dead, I don't want to say gorgeous, but used to make hundreds of dollars a night sing as a singing waiter when he was in college. And anyway, so I'm very happy about those two situations, and I wish there had been more, but it just wasn't to be. I had a person who was about ready to graduate and told me that she was really sad she hadn't been able to participate, but she never did. She was never ready to do it. According to who? I said, well, my teacher. I didn't say it, but I said, you've done 2 full-hour recitals and nailed them, and you're a professional church musician and director and all that, and you're not ready? Well, perhaps you're not. Anyway, I guess I'm throwing this in there in this discussion to say don't let the opportunity pass you by if it's something you might think you might be interested in. I think you'll find out within 5 minutes whether or not you enjoy it or not. And if the kids that I've worked with in clinics are any indication, it's great fun. And especially fun because they're making music and they don't have to know anything. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I can take an elementary school kid and teach them how to scat sing through imitation, and they'll do it if they can match a pitch, and they almost all can. I've only had a couple students in all the years that I taught that couldn't match a pitch, and how they got through music theory. Well, I wasn't the ear training teacher at the time, so I can't speak to that. But they were both guitarists, and that's lucky because you could play the guitar and not be able to match a pitch. I find it a little disturbing, but you could do it. You could do it. And these two guys couldn't match a pitch, and yet they were both successful musicians. Not singers. No, not singers. But successful. They picked the right instrument, that's for sure. Anyway, this is about 10 minutes worth of rambling, and I would really appreciate if anyone finds anything of use in here, if you'd let me know. or anything that I said that was confusing, which is entirely probable. It's entirely probable. Okay. Bonsai Anonymous and the unknown Scat Singer signing off.